Hey guys, welcome to Stock Talk. Today, we're going to look at a pharmaceutical stock that came onto the scene strong in the early days of COVID-19 vaccine development, but has since retreated when it got beaten out by the likes of Pfizer and Moderna. That's right, we're looking at Inovio Pharmaceuticals, stock ticker INO. In this video, we're going to talk about INO's performance throughout the COVID-19 vaccine push, what it's done since, and if I personally think it's a buy or a sell. We see that most of you are not subscribed yet. Subscribe since it helps with the YouTube algorithm. You can always unsub later. Also, favor yourself by hitting the bell to get reminded when you have a new video. Inovio is a pharmaceutical company that was one of the first to set forth on creating a COVID-19 vaccine last spring. Inovio started strong with its early foray into vaccine creation, but it wasn't long until the company started facing setbacks. Inovio released a Phase 1 clinical report that many investors said lacked detail. A few months later, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration placed its Phase 2-3 trial on partial hold. By December, the FDA lifted the Phase 2 clinical hold but kept the Phase 3 clinical hold. However, the reasons for the holds is actually pretty interesting. The FDA didn't issue holds because it was worried about the way INO was conducting its trials or the science behind its vaccines or anything. It was because of the incredibly innovative but new device that Inovio had developed to administer its vaccine. The device, called Selectra, uses electrical pulses to deliver Inovio's vaccine directly into the patient's skin cells. Inovio's agreed to answer all of the FDA's questions regarding Selectra to try to ease the holds, and hasn't provided an update, although one is expected with the company's earnings report on March 1st. Despite the fact that Inovio's ingenious delivery system equated to a slower vaccine rollout, it's also indicative of the creativity that the company operates with on a daily basis, and it's part of the reason some investors still believe so heavily in Inovio's future. In fact, while Inovio's vaccine is slower and according to some studies less effective than either the Pfizer or Moderna vaccine, it can be kept at room temperatures. This is a potentially huge boon for the company, as Inovio will be in a much better spot when it comes to actually transporting its vaccine. Remember to smash the like button. Unfortunately for Inovio, their problems in the vaccine rollout had a serious impact on not only its stock price, but also the other measures of consumer confidence in a company such as short percentage and put-call ratios. A company's short percentage is the percent of its total outstanding shares that are short positions, meaning bets that the company's stock will decrease in value. At its height, around December, Inovio's short percentage was 36%, which is worryingly high for any company. A company's put-call ratio is another measure that tracks the options market to see how many investors are betting a company's stock will lose rather than gain value, and Inovio's put-call ratio also peaked around this time in late 2020. However, recently, things began to change for the company. On February 23rd, Inovio announced its first successful administration of a vaccine unrelated to COVID-19, the INO 4500, which protects against Lassa fever in West Africa. Later, on February 24th, Inovio announced that it would expand its collaboration with biotech company QIAGEN to develop a next-generation sequencing companion diagnostic related to advanced cervical dysplasia. Basically, this collaboration will make it easier to remove cervical lesions in a non-invasive, cost-effective way. In fact, on the day this collaboration was announced, INO stock rose 2.83%. Given everything we've spoken about so far, it's fair to say that Inovio has a bright future ahead of it. Sure, a lot of investors are shorting it and a lot of investors have bought put options on underlying Inovio shares, but that seems to have been almost entirely related to the debacles with Inovio's vaccine rollout. Now that vaccines against the coronavirus are being deployed across the country, with a stated hope of herd immunity by July, I feel that any vaccine-related negative press will soon take the back burner to the innovations and collaborations that Inovio continues to helm. So where does that leave Inovio stock? Well, I personally think the stock could go as high as $50. I know that's a somewhat uncommon viewpoint at the moment, but again, I think that most of the negative investor sentiment related to INO is related to the vaccine. And what's more, it's important to note that even that press might not be well deserved. Inovio's vaccine is still the only one that can be kept at room temperature, and while the United States appears to be enjoying a smooth and easy vaccine rollout, large parts of the world are nowhere near anything close to herd immunity. Transporting millions of vaccines to other countries will be extremely expensive and difficult to do if those vaccines, like the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, have to be refrigerated or even kept at freezing temperatures. When the time comes to fully approve Inovio's COVID vaccine, they very well might be at the forefront of selling their vaccines to other countries, and at that point, their biggest strain will become their biggest strength, and I would expect their stock to rise heavily. Investor optimism is already returning to the embattled company. Their short percentage has dropped from a high of 36% to just 21%, and their put-call ratio is now actually in bullish territory. Given the fact that optimism is already returning to the company, they have collaboration and other projects in place that have nothing to do with COVID-19 pandemic, and that the only real problem the company ever had was the FDA's holds on its vaccine rollout triggered mainly by the ingenious method they came up with to administer the vaccine. I'm confident in Inovio. So guys, those are my thoughts on Inovio. INO has definitely had a rocky past year, but I believe that its ingenuity and its continued expansion into other vaccines and collaborations with other companies in the same field will yield fruit, especially when herd immunity is reached in the States and the stateside vaccine rollout dies down. But what do you guys think? Is INO a bull or a bear? Let me know in the comments below. If you like what you saw, remember to smash that like button, and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.